Y'all ready?
Yes.
It's science time, it's science time, it's science time, I'm ready. It's science time, it's science time, it's science time, I'm ready. Okay. So, today we are starting a new chapter. We're starting a new chapter in our books. Today we are going to be chapter 3. We're reading chapter 3. So turn in your books to chapter 3. Chapter 3 is on page, starts on page 83.
What?
82 and 83 shows you a picture. Look at that picture of the flag.
That's when it got wet.
What do you think about that picture? What do you think is on that picture? Where do you think those drops came from? Quantavion?
Probably from the rain or from the lake.
Probably from the rain or the lake. Alex, what do you think? The same thing as Quantavion. Lavaris, what do you think?
The way my dropped on his spider web and he got on the spider web and the wet got on him.
Okay. Alex,
He probably slowed down in the puddle.
Zach?
I think that he probably got wet because a raindrop probably fell on it from the tree.
Alright, so today, now I want you to turn to 86. 86. Christian? Maybe. Okay. Page 86. So we are learning about what? Right now, what are we learning about? What does it say?
You want about what is the water cycle?
Thank you, Lavaris. What is the water cycle? Okay? Has anyone ever heard of the water cycle? You heard of the water cycle before?
Yes.
You heard of it?
Yes.
So some of you guys familiar?
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Okay. This says, how do you think it is possible to see the lion's breath? You see that in this picture, the lion, it's breathing out. And this happens to us sometimes too. This happens to us sometimes too. How do you think it's possible to see the lion's breath, Shemaya?
It might be cold and he just grabbed me because he was good.
It might be cold and his breath is warm, you say? Okay. Zachary?
I think, like, in this picture, like, this man freezing, so, and he can probably breathe like we can. When it's cold, we can probably breathe out warm air just to make it, you can see the ice, and probably, it was probably cold at night,
Okay.
and it was probably, is that red?
Those
It's in your books as well.
That look like orange to me.
Okay. Quantavion?
That you can't see the see it because like it probably warm. You probably warm, but like if it cold, you probably can see it.
Right. So it's probably cold. It's probably cold, right? And the lion's breath is probably warm.
That happen to humans.
Okay?
they get tired.
And that happens to us too, right?
Yeah.
When it's cold outside, you breathe out and you go,
You can
And
see
then
it.
you see your own breath, right?
Yes.
But when it's hot, you can't see it.
That's right. Those are called water droplets, water vapor that comes out of your mouth, okay? We haven't got into this yet. Well, let's talk about it. Using the terms condensation, evaporation, and precipitation, describe what you think happens in the water cycle. Can anybody? What do you think happens in the water cycle? Let's start with precipitation. We know what that is. Precipitation. What is precipitation? Does anybody know what that is? Precipitation. Precipitation. What is that? Precipitation. What am I talking about, Nicaria?
I think it's talking about
Rain. Rain, sleet, or snow. So we know that water comes from the sky and it comes down, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's precipitation. What about evaporation? What about evaporation? Alex Jackson?
Something that could change.
Hmm?
Something that could change.
It is a change. Shemaya? You know, like when you see a puddle outside and then
When it dry up,
then the sun come out and then you go back outside and the puddle's gone?
it dried up.
It's evaporation.
Right, yeah, evaporated. So what about condensation? What do you think
It's
that
like-
probably is? What happens up there? Condensation. Giselle?
Gas adds water vapor.
When the gas turns into water again, up in the sky, the clouds, okay? Pretty good, pretty good. Let's keep moving. That's it for that. So let's go under explore. Alright, so check this out. There's nothing like a tall glass of cool water on a hot day. Much of our planet is covered in water, but the water in oceans is salt water. People in all parts of the world need fresh water to drink and to grow crops. So, do people in the world drink salt water?
No. You can, but
I mean, you can, but it would taste terrible. That's right. So we drink what kind of water? Fresh water. Very good. Geographically, there are places that do not have much fresh water, such as the Middle East. However, people can use water from the sea after the salt has been removed from it. Desalination removes salt from seawater to get fresh water.
What that mean?
Salt water and desalination means it does what? It removes salt.
It was moved
From seawater,
From
okay?
seawater.
So seawater, check this out, wait. Seawater can be distilled or heated to make steam. Water vapor condenses into fresh water and leaves the salt behind. Desalination takes a lot of energy and is expensive, but costs are decreasing as technology improves. So desalination is if we had salt water and that's all we had to drink was salt water.
Ugh.
We had no choice but to drink salt water. That's all that was available to us, right?
But
we're thirsty, right?
Yeah.
We're thirsty. We need something to drink. So we have to separate. You guys remember when we separated the salt from the water in the experiment? It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that. So you're taking the salt out of the salt water so that you can drink it. Okay? Y'all laughing at me?
No.
All right. Explain. Okay, let's look at the video.
I did too many.
Loading. All right. Here we go. So this is going to show us a video. Let me turn up the sound. Okay. What's the question, guys, that it's asking us? So we know.
What is the water cycle?
What is the water cycle? Okay, so we know what we're thinking about when we're watching this, right?
Yes,
All right. Here we go.
You might not be able to always see it, but water surrounds you all the time. It's even in the air you breathe. Water is always moving on, through, and above Earth as it changes from one form to another. This repeated movement of water through the environment is called the water cycle. The water cycle is continuous and includes evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and runoff. Evaporation is the changing of a liquid, such as water, to a gas. Water evaporates into the atmosphere, creating water vapor. In condensation, a gas, such as water vapor, turns into a liquid. Clouds form when water vapor condenses into water droplets. As the droplets combine, they fall as precipitation. Precipitation is the water that falls from clouds as rain, snow, sleet, or hail. Runoff is water that flows off the land back into bodies of water. The water cycle repeats when sunlight causes evaporation. Got it? Sure you do.
Y'all got that?
Yeah, replay it.
Replay it one more time?
Yes.
One more time. Here we go. I'm gonna ask you some questions.
No, I said do it over again.
You might not be able to always see it, but water surrounds you all the time. It's even in the air you breathe. Water is always moving on, through, and above Earth as it changes from one form to another. This repeated movement of water through the environment is called the water cycle. The water cycle is continuous and includes evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and runoff. Evaporation is the changing of a liquid, such as water, to a gas. Water evaporates into the atmosphere, creating water vapor. In condensation, a gas, such as water vapor, turns into a liquid. Clouds form when water vapor condenses into water droplets. As the droplets combine, they fall as precipitation. Precipitation is the water that falls from clouds as rain, snow, sleet, or hail. Runoff is water that flows off the land back into bodies of water. The water cycle repeats when sunlight causes evaporation. Got it? Sure you do.
Now we go next one.
All right, y'all got it?
Yes.
Let's talk about it. So, does the water cycle, does it only stop after one stage?
No.
Or is it continuous?
Continuous.
So it repeats?
Yes.
Okay. What about when the water goes from liquid and it raises up to gas into the sky? What is that called? What is that called, Alex F?
Evaporation.
Evaporation. So when the water travels up and goes from liquid to gas, it's called what, everybody?
Evaporation.
Okay, so we got evaporation. Okay, so then after the water travels up, then it starts hanging out in the sky. And the water vapor turns into water droplets. And it's like, it turns into clouds. Sometimes the clouds get a little heavy. What's that called? Giselle? Condensation. Okay? So far we have evaporation. Yes, ma'am. I think she went to go do it. Evaporation. We have condensation. Okay, so what about when the clouds get too heavy?
Preservation.
What? Hold on, y'all.
It gonna rain.
Miss Williams, class. Okay. Okay, so after we have evaporation, we got condensation, right? So then the clouds get too heavy and the gas turns into a liquid. And it comes down. What is that called, Jose?
Precipitation.
Precipitation.
Oh,
Precipitation.
They can see it.
Say precipitation.
Precipitation.
Precipitation. Okay. Okay, but what about when the rain comes down and it kind of rolls off of the hills and stuff, and it goes into ponds and stuff? What's that called? Alex J?
Condensation.
Not condensation. No. Travis, what's it called? Runoff. Did y'all hear Travis? Runoff. The water cycle only has 4 steps. Just 4.
Water cycle.
So we have evaporation. Then what? What's that?
Condensation.
Condensation. Then what? Precipitation and
Water cycle.
runoff. Let's try that again. Y'all ready?
Yes.
Okay, so first we have
Evaporation.
then we have
Condensation.
and then we have
Precipitation.
and then we have
Runoff.
runoff.